Welcome back to Purrfect Takes. I'm your host, Stephen Patton, joined as always by my co-host and dear friend, Jacob Acquire. And today, Jacob brought a pretty swell idea to the table for a podcast. And I like it. I like it. What we're going to do is we are going to create, we both have 16 picks, and we cannot choose a player or coach from the same team. But we are going to build the perfect offense. And the way we're going to judge this is we are looking at like a 1-year timestamp. So a guy like Trent Williams, you're going to want to have on your roster. This isn't a concern about a guy that you need for the next 2 or 3 years. We're looking at a 1-year window. If our player that we selected at their position wins offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, heck, MVP. I think they're doing that new offensive line stat. So if one of our offensive line players gets that stat, we'll throw that in there. That's 5 points. 5 points for that player. If they don't win one of those prestigious awards, but they do have a first team All-Pro, we're going to give them 3 points for that selection. If they are a second team All-Pro, it's going to be 2 points. If they are Pro Bowl and not a substitute. So Jacob brought up Huntley from the Baltimore Ravens a couple of years ago that kind of snuck into the Pro Bowl because of a couple people deferring and him kind of being the next guy up in line. So that will not be permitted. But if you do have a regular Pro Bowl vote, you're one of just the normal substitutes, you will have a point for that player. There is one more caveat before we have drafts when we build the perfect. And that is the quarterback and the coach are the last 2 picks. Now, Jacob, being the prestigious guest he is each and every week, he had the ability to either take the first overall pick or defer. And in this case, he has deferred, so he is going to want his pick of either quarterback or coach. And that means at pick number 1, I have to choose a wide receiver, a running back, a tight end, or an offensive lineman. And so I was thinking about it a lot, and I'm looking at guys that have first team All-Pro implications, and it's just hard for me to see a situation where if Jamar Chase plays the entire year, that he's not going to be another first team All-Pro again. And the reason why is they don't have a good defense, so he's going to be on the field a lot. He's going to get a lot of targets, and he is a superstar. There's no doubt about it. And I think just because of those other facets and factors that go into, I think, how the Bengals offense is going to have to operate, he is going to be my number 1 pick.
I like it. We're streaming, if you're watching on YouTube, the draft as we do it. So I put the Bengals colors there. Steve can type in his pick, the team, because now I can't pick a Bengals player or coach and where they got picked. I saw you type in Joe there. I think the Joe discourse might be on your mind. But if you didn't see the rules earlier, these are rules like Steve said. We're basically filling out a Pro Bowl roster or like a Pro Bowl offense. An extra running back, an extra receiver, extra tight end, and those are the point totals for the awards and how we're going to score it. So Steven taking Jamar Chase, I'm naturally going to go to who I believe is the best wide receiver in the NFL, and that is Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings. I think he's the perfect counterpart to Jamar Chase. As long as he's healthy, I can't envision a point where he's not an All-Pro. He's the most talented player to me, or at that position to me. He's not the highest paid because the Bengals are a little slow with that, but he is the best to me. And so I'm going to have him there. I also have the 3rd pick because we're doing a snake draft. The reason I deferred is so I could pick the QB last. I don't know how it's going to end up. I think we might get 2 pretty bad QBs at the end. So I want to have my pick of the litter there. But with the 3rd pick, and this is an interesting one because I also like someone else from the Vikings, but I think I'm going to dip into the running back pool here and take Jahmyr Gibbs. To me, I think he's going to have a very, very, very good year. I think one of my takes last year was that he would end up as RB1, and he did in fantasy. He had to play week 17 to get there, but I think having Gibbs and Jefferson, 2 guys that I think it's hard to imagine them not being something, at least a Pro Bowler, right? I think that's a good way to start off my team here.
I like it. I like it. And I'm gonna stick with wide receivers. I'm gonna stick with the what is it, the running back zero strat, as they call it in fantasy football. And with the next pick, I'm going to take CeeDee Lamb. I think with the Dallas Cowboys, a player of his caliber has the ability to bounce back, be another first team, second team All Pro. Reason why I'm choosing him over an AJ Brown is simply because of injury history. I think when you look at like impact on the field, I think AJ Brown is a more impactful player, and you see that with the on-off splits with the Philadelphia Eagles. But in this case, I'm banking on the upside of CeeDee Lamb having a bounce back year after almost winning the Triple Crown a couple seasons ago.
I like that, and fortunately for you, you have another one as well after this.
I do. And so after kind of decompressing from that, I was like, I have my 2-star wide receivers. I can't get a quarterback. Running back's not that big of a priority at this point in time. I need to get a tackle. And I was kind of going back and forth, like, how did I want to do this? And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my left tackle, and I'm going to get Trent Williams with the San Francisco 49ers. I think this is a guy that has the ability to be a dominant force when he's on the field. I think this is really probably one of his like last seasons in the NFL. And I think he is going to be super impactful to that team and how they operate offensively.
That's actually the direction I was going to go in, so I'm a little bit disappointed here. I'm going to stick offensive line, and I'm going to start on the other side because I think there are fewer premium right tackles in the league, especially since I took Penei Sewell off the board when taking Jahmyr Gibbs. So I am going to go Lane Johnson with, what would this be, the
Interesting.
6th pick? Or the 5th pick? Lane Johnson. I think that's pick 5. No, pick 6. I'm mistaken.
It is. Oh,
but,
yeah. I need to correct this. I thought we were doing it by round, but yeah, you are absolutely right. We should do this by the actual pick number so that people can see.
It's all good. I think he's probably the best value at right tackle left on the board. And then I think I'm going to go in kind of an interesting direction here. You might not have expected it this early, but I'm going to get my first tight end, and I'm going to get Brock Bowers. I think there are a couple of intriguing options with the Las Vegas Raiders. Tackle with Colton Miller could have been somebody, but you don't need a left tackle. They have a couple good offensive linemen. They have Ashton Genty, the star rookie running back, and they had Geno Smith. I thought this could have been a sneaky person who makes it to QB, but fortunately for me, I'm going to keep Bowers, who, in my book, best tight end in the league. He should have been Rookie of the Year last year, and he was already a first-team All-Pro in his rookie season. So I'm going to go with Bowers.
Okay, I like it. And so that means you're done. You have Lane Johnson, Brock Bowers. So at pick number 8, I'm actually going to go right tackle as well. But I'm going to go a guy that was a rookie last year who I think can step up into a bigger role this year, and that's Joe Alt with the Los Angeles Chargers. I think he is going to be a stalwart, and he is going to pave some massive lanes for Mario Hampton and Najee Harris. At pick number 9, I'm kind of torn here. I don't know if I stick with the offensive line. I go back to wide receiver. I'm going to go back to wide receiver. I like Brian Thomas Jr. out of Jacksonville. I can't get enough. I can't get enough of some of these LSU wide receivers with now Chase and Brian Thomas on the team.
Yeah, Thomas was going to be my next pick. I almost worry about Trevor Lawrence not being good enough, and with Travis Hunter taking snaps, if that's going to impact Thomas. That's why I didn't pick him earlier, but I think that's still going to be a really good pick. I'm trying hard not to dip into the QBs because the way we're doing this, I want to save a couple people for the end, but I'm going to stick with the wide receivers here, and I'm going to take somebody from a bad team, but I think he has the potential to be an All-Pro again this year, and that's Malik Neighbors.
Say Neighbors?
Oh, yep. Nice. This is your guy, so I might have sniped you here a little bit.
No.
This is pick 10, I believe. There's not a lot of good players on that team, and he was able to produce with Daniel Jones, with Tommy DeVito. I'm sure I'm missing people that were also QB for the Giants last year, but I'm going to go Neighbors there. And I think I'm going to get another wide receiver, and then I'm going to be good on wide receivers for a while. This is a sneaky one because I think he's the only acceptable player on this team, so I'm happy that I got him. It's going to be Jackson Smith and Jigba. at pick
Oh,
11.
thank goodness! Thank goodness. I thought you were about to go somewhere else. So I'm actually a very happy man now.
And this is pick 11, I believe. The Seahawks, like I was struggling to pick Seahawks players, and so I'm happy that I got one, or I'm happy that I didn't have to choose somebody like Charles Cross. All due respect to Charles Cross, but I'm happy I didn't have to choose from the Seahawks later.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to go about it. You're doing it as like a process of elimination in terms of like teams. For me, it's
Mhm.
like if I don't want a quarterback or necessarily an offensive lineman from this team, I'm probably going to take their wide receiver. And I think that's the case here as I fill out my wide receiver room, and I'm staking in the AFC South and taking Nico Collins.
Mhm.
I think this is a stud guy. He got hurt obviously halfway through last year, but the numbers he was putting up prior to injury and then even after being injured, this is a guy that has the ability to be a first team, second team All Pro, enter these top 5 wide receiver discussions. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see where he goes. After this, I'm torn between going like my left guard or getting a tight end here. And I think I'm going to stick with my gut and go with the offensive line. I'm going to say Quentin Nelson. Again, another AFC South Indianapolis Colt guard, and he's a phenomenal guy that will pave a lot of running lanes for Jonathan Taylor in that offense.
I was thinking about Bernard Raymond, like in not this couplet here, but the next one. So I'm kind of annoyed that you went in that direction there. So I'm feeling like I need a left tackle, and the options are just so limited. There's one that really sticks out, but I think we're trying to save the
Well, you
Buffalo
took
Bills
Neighbors
for
instead of
later.
Andrew Thomas. I That's what shocked me. Like I know you
Andrew
took Neighbors,
Thomas,
but
his injury stuff to me is like kind of inescapable. Like I want to take Tristan Wirfs really bad, but how much time is he gonna miss? That's the question here. I'm saying all this just so I can stall for time while I think about who I'm gonna go with next. I gotta go left. I think I am just gonna bite the bullet and take Wirfs here. I think he's gonna miss some time, which might affect him a good bit. But his ability as a player, I think he was probably third best at worst when it comes to this is pick 14, right? When it comes to left tackles this past season. So I'm gonna go with him for my left tackle. Then I gotta decide. I think I need my fourth receiver, and there are quite a few that I'm looking at. Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams, that's so tough because I don't know which one of them is going to
you know who
be
the
off.
offense goes through there.
Well, it
Like
goes
Devontae
to
Adams is
Puka.
a good, but that's what I'm saying. So like pick Puka Nakua. If he's on the field, he's the dude. Like
Hmm.
that's without a doubt. It's just a matter or not if he's going to be on the field all 17 games.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about Rasheed Rice in that same scenario. Will he be healthy? Will he play a full 17 games with a looming suspension? That one's kind of
No,
up in the air as
the
well.
suspension, the court ruling isn't going to be until after this 2025 season. So he will not be suspended in 2025. Any suspension comes down, it will be in 2026. Court dates past the 2025 season. It's a load of horse crap, but it is what it is.
Gotcha. All right, so I might leave that one open. I'm going to go with somebody who was a Chief last year, actually, and I'm going to go with Joe Thuney with the Chicago Bears. I
Okay.
think that their investment this offseason, he's a left guard, correct?
I
I just
believe
want to be
so, yeah.
sure. Yeah, I think their investment this offseason in the O line spells that they like have a plan at least for Caleb Williams in the offense this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do for him. I think he's got some stuff left in him because if I'm not mistaken, they gave him like a 2-year extension after trading for him. So I'm going to go with Tooney there.
I like it. I like getting a stalwart left guard here. He's probably going to be a Pro Bowler. I'm excited to see what Ben Johnson whips up. I really am curious how it all comes together. But here at pick 16, we're at about the halfway point. I'm probably going to dip in and get my star running back. I'm going to get Bijan Robinson
Ooh.
out of Atlanta. And I think he has a good potential to at least make second team All Pro. I
Mhm.
think he's definitely a lock for a Pro Bowler. It's just those first team All Pros. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is in the driver's seat going into the year, but depending on how the Falcons offense comes out swinging, I think Bijan could be right in the mix as well.
I like that a lot. I was thinking about Bijan earlier, but I was kind of wanting to save Drake London for later. I think he could be a sneaky Pro Bowler, but I don't know about all pro. So where are you going to go next?
So at this one, I think I just got to bite the bullet, take my tight end before at least my first tight end, and I'm going to go Trey McBride. Kind of lock myself out of getting a George Kittle with taking Trent Williams, and I think this is the next available dude. I think he's starting to come into his own, and we see that with tight ends that kind of hit that second tract, that the game slows down for them, and they're a more impactful player to the rest of the offense.
Yeah, that was I was going to go Trey McBride on this turn. I think this is a really good choice by you here. Good value. Fantasy wise, he was, I think, tight end 2 last year. And really, if Kyler and he were able to connect in the red zone, the end zone more, I think a lot more people would have been talking about him, because one of the storylines, of the last season was, oh, Trey McBride still hasn't gotten a touchdown yet, or he had a fumble recovery touchdown, but not a receiving one. So I think that if they're on the same page this year, that could go a lot differently. Actually, I'm glad this guy's still available. Now that I'm at my pick here, I'm going to take somebody from the Washington Commanders, and I'm going to go Terry McLaurin. I think this guy's a really good chance to be a Pro Bowler, and that's kind of like my baseline here, right? This is pick 18, yes. That's kind of my baseline. I think he's going to have a good year. He's playing for a contract, so he's going to be very, very motivated. And that wraps up all of our receivers. And that was something that I was worried about, that I'd have to get a late receiver like Chris Olave. I'll do respect to Chris Olave, but like a Saints player or something at the end. Okay, so I have another pick here. I think, and we do have to do coaches second to last, right? Or coaches and QBs are the two last ones. Okay. I might lock you out of one of your guys here then, because I'm going to do with the Denver Broncos. I'm going to get Quinn Miners, and that might lock you out of Sean Payton, if that was an inkling
No,
or
that
a
was not
direction
a direction I was heading. So I think we're okay on that one.
And that's 19, if I'm not mistaken. Miners was I believe he was a first-team All-Pro this last year, got an extension. That Broncos O-line is all really good, and they're all under contract for at least the next 2 seasons. So health pending, that should be a very, very good offensive line this season.
Okay. Oh, I like that pick. I'm like torn between, do I like fill out my interior? There's some tight ends I could potentially nab here. Oh, this is an interesting one, because at this point it's like you're really shooting for like maybe a like Pro Bowl upside. And for me, I think another year in the offense. I know they just traded for Janu Smith, and I was really debating going like, you know, it's screw it. I'm taking Zach Frazier out of as my center. I think he's going to be really good in that offense. Has a chance maybe as a year 2 player, similar to Joe Alt, to get some recognition and honors, because I think he's going to be the anchor there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around from a tight end perspective. I'm actually going to go Tucker Kraft for the Green Bay Packers. We have not taken a Green Bay Packer player. I think that is the pick there to round out this turn.
I'm pretty mad about that one, because I had a Packer in mind for this pick. It wasn't Tucker Kraft. It was actually their center, Elton Jenkins. I think he was probably the best center left on the board. I'm going to have to start pulling up our lads and looking at centers here, and maybe the next turn or something like that.
I mean, Tyler Linderbaum's still there, but I don't know if you want to.
I'm scared.
Creed Humphrey.
I don't want to.
There's a couple of those.
Yeah, but those guys are quarterbacks and coaches, so like it's really tough, right? Man, I'm trying to see here. Like, both Panthers guards have Pro Bowl potential, but I don't need any more guards, right?
Yeah, you didn't take Lindstrom or Robert Hunt. Like, I know you went Menierez, and he has a good shot at like getting honors, but that was surprising to me.
Well, Miners was the first team All-Pro last year. He was
Lindstrom
very, very good.
Second team, though. That's what I'm saying. It was like there were some guys there where like, if
but Lindstrom, you took because of Bijan, right? Yeah, you took Bijan ahead.
Oh, I did. So
that locked me out. See, now we're getting into the thick of it, really, and we have to like figure out who, like, trying to prevent other people from getting things at this point, like the Dolphins, right? Like, we can't go Waddle or Tyreek Hill at this point. Same thing with the Chargers or the Rams, excuse me. We can't go Puka Nakua or Devontae Adams. Man, I'm trying to, and we're trying to save a couple teams for the end, intentionally or unintentionally. I'm gonna have to pull up our lads for a second, real quick, because I need to look at Cleveland's offense. We're in the gutter if we're looking at Cleveland's offense. You know what? This is gonna sound really stupid, okay? But you got to bear with me here. I'm taking a Cleveland Brown right now, so I don't get stuck with somebody from their team later. I'm going to go David Njoku. All right, he's a
Nice.
very solid tight end that has made the Pro Bowl a couple times in his career. This is pick 21, 22 maybe. He's made it a couple times in his career. I just don't want to be picking between like Quinshon Judkins and somebody else down the line because I'm thinking about Judy, but I can't take any more receivers. So I think that's going to be the pick here. And I have another one here at the turn. I think that I'm going to go from your Carolina Panthers, Chuba Hubbard. I think is going to be my pick here. I think
You're
with
just wow.
with the pairing here between he and Dowdle, I think the Panthers are going to get more recognition. I also think we're going to win some more this season. And so winning gets you more Pro Bowl votes. And then I think that's going to lead to him making the Pro Bowl. I think he was a replacement this past cycle. So I feel pretty confident about this turn here, especially now that I've kept some good options on the board for later.
You know what? I was gonna do Robert Hunt here, but we're just gonna knock it out. Get Cesar Ruiz here at a pick 24. Get the Saints out of the board, so we don't have to deal with that. And you brought up the Miami Dolphins. I'm gonna put Alec Ingold as my tight end fullback, so I can run some 21 personnel, and we're gonna figure out running back on the next turn before talking about quarterbacks and coaches.
All right. Oh, you do still have a QB left. Interesting. Or excuse me, a running back left. So,
yep.
Oh man, we are approaching the end here. So to be clear, we have Titans still available, New York Jets, New England Patriots, LA Chargers, Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, and Baltimore Ravens. We have those 7 remaining, and to keep the intrigue high, I think that I'm going to use my center here with the Tennessee Titans and take Lloyd Cushenberry. I think he's a very good player, and I think that now that they have a real O-line around them, I think that he's going to have a chance to shine. Hopefully, if Cam Ward's good enough, that can lead to a Pro Bowl berth. So this is pick 26, if I'm not mistaken. So that would give me one more pick here. And what do I need? I need a tight end fullback. Yeah, that's what I have to choose, right? Because we have to use QB and coach last. So what tight end or fullback do I want?
What are the 5 remaining teams that, 6 remaining teams that we have? Buffalo, Kansas City, Baltimore.
Yeah.
We have the Jets,
the Rams, the Jets, and the Patriots. Let me look at the Patriots have Hunter Henry. The Jets have the rookie Mason Taylor. And I think
you want to go Mason Taylor?
I don't. I think I'm gonna have to break into the 3 remaining good teams here.
Wow.
I just have to decide which one, because yeah, I mean, you'll see why. Because man, you need a running back still, right?
I mean, take whoever you want. I'm comfortable right here.
I know, because there are multiple good running backs left. My thinking is there's 3 QBs left that I want, and 4 picks till I get to pick a QB. You know what I'm saying? So
and you gotta remember, after this pick, I have my pick. You pick once, and then to continue the snake, I get both of my picks before you either have your final coach or quarterback. So just something to put use in your brain.
No, this would be my pick. Then you have running back, then coach or QB, and then I have. Yeah, so that's what the snake means. You pick first and last. You know what I mean?
Okay, I was making sure. I was
31. You know, this is pick 27. I'm trying to figure out if the gambit will work out, so to speak. I'm not picking Travis Kelce, so we can leave that one. He might be a Pro Bowler just because his name is Travis Kelce and he's engaged, maybe to
Are you
Taylor Swift.
Mark Andrews?
I'm
Are we
thinking
doing
about
Mark Andrews?
that, or I'm thinking about Kincaid. Like Kincaid had a decent year, even though
I don't
he
think he's that guy.
dropped the game or the fourth down conversion. It wasn't a drop. It was just it wasn't a poorly placed ball. It was just a bad situation for everybody involved. So I think I'm going to have to take, much to my chagrin, I'm gonna have to take Mark Andrews here.
I
And
like
this
it.
is pick 27. Yes. Yeah. He still got some gas in the tank. He also had a season-losing drop, much like Dalton Kincaid did. But I think he had a great year last year. He was relatively healthy, and as long as Lamar's back there, they're going to be good.
I like it. With pick 28, I'll fill up my running back room. I'll take Breece
Yep,
Hall.
that's what I predicted. So I'm
Yep.
happy. I'm happy you did that.
Yeah. No, like I'm sorry. I love the kid out of Ohio State that's with the Patriots. I just don't see him over
Mm-hmm.
Ramondre Stevenson from a touch standpoint out of the gate.
Well,
And
and
then
this is about awards too, right? It's hard for a
yeah,
rookie
Hendrickson.
to come
Yeah.
in and be an All Pro. Yeah, especially at a position like running back.
So, and that was like Breece Hall. He's at least done it. If him and Justin Fields are able to just do insane things as a running back tandem, it's like they both break 1,000 yards. It's like maybe Breece Hall gets a Pro Bowl nod. Like who knows? Like again, like this is a long shot, but I think when you're building a roster and you're looking at it, like I would like this 1-2 punch. I think Bijan Robinson can carry more of the load. While Breece Hall is kind of your third down, you can use him in the screen game kind of situation. But beyond that.
Yeah. So
We're now
are we going
into
coach? Are we going QB? What are we
you
doing
see.
here?
So you took Baltimore out,
Mm-hmm.
and I love me some Drake May and Matthew Stafford. I really do, and I'm not opposed to those being one of my two guys. But the issue is you need a quarterback too.
Mm-hmm.
You see, this is where if I choose a quarterback, what ends up happening is I'm left with Josh McDaniels, which isn't the end of the world.
It's not the
But
worst.
it's not the worst, but it's not the best. Where it's like I
There,
could go play caller
there are
here.
three
And like,
elite play callers left, basically. That's how I
yes,
look
and
at
so
it.
it's like, and two of them have quarterbacks. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
do I just take the coach right now? You'll probably leave the no, because the only way I get one of the quarterbacks is if I take another coach.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you know what? We're gonna do it. I'm gonna take Sean McVay here at the turn. Give myself one of the two quarterbacks just so I feel like I have a shot here. With the Los Angeles Rams, we've talked about it and we haven't gotten into the NFC West, but like I think the 49ers are in the driver's seat to retake that division. The Seahawks are still a really good team, but as long as Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua are healthy, they can still make things interesting down the stretch. So I'm not going to count them out. Sean McVay is one of the better minds. If he somehow pulls off the NFC West and he's the number 2 seed and they dealt with injuries, McVay might be a coach of the year candidate. But I don't know. It's so far down the line. I think there are a lot of other brighter minds in the league that haven't gotten recognition that it might just put him down the totem pole. But I'm happy with the group I put together that he's the head coach and play caller.
So I actually wanted McVay here. I think he's the best play caller left on the board. With all due respect to Andy Reid, I think Andy Reid's incredible. I think over the last, let's say, 2 years, McVay has really taken that step. So I am kind of disappointed here. But I think you didn't factor in that I have 2 picks in a row here, which means your QB.
If I gotta take Drake May, dude, you think I'm worried about that? I got Josh Allen 2.0. Like throw him at me.
Listen,
I just didn't want it the other way around.
I see what you're saying, right? And I think that is the correct plan. Fortunately, now I have to think about this because Mahomes and Allen will both be Pro Bowlers if they're healthy. I have to decide, well, Andy Reid, does he have a better chance to be coach of the year, or does Joe Brady have a better chance to be assistant coach of the year or coaching assistant of the year? That's kind of what I'm down to. at this point. I don't think they will give Josh Allen another MVP after last year. Mahomes apparently is back with a vengeance this year, whatever that means. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take, in the spirit, since you just took a coordinator, I'm going to take Joe Brady as my play caller here at pick 30. And I'm going to
Oh,
take
wow.
the guy, uh, we talked about him on Mount Rushmore as a guy that's going to end up there, regardless of how the rest of his career ends up. I'm going to get Patrick Mahomes with the 31st overall selection.
You're such a cuck. You know that? Like that. I'm glad it's not a cuss word because like I think it's appropriate here because this is that's insane. To take both of them and to do it that way too. Like I feel like Andy Reid, Josh Allen. You're right. Like MVP coming back, but like.
Well, I think Mahomes has a better chance to win MVP.
He does,
and I think
like,
that
yeah.
Brady has a better chance to win Coordinator of the Year as opposed to Reid winning Coach of the Year. Reid has been so good for so long that he's got like the fatigue factor, right? In the heydays of Ron Rivera, he won it twice. The guy with Dallas, the guy who's 8-8 every year, he won it. Jason Garrett won Coach of the Year twice. That to me is the biggest fatigue award in the big awards that are voted for. And so I think I have to take my chances on Joe Brady and Mahomes as opposed to Reid and Allen, as counterintuitive as it might sound.
I see from like an odds perspective because you're right. Like Andy Reid's probably not going to win it, and when you look at Joe Brady, he was a finalist at least for the award last year. So it's like I can see the argument for what you're making. I like it. That means I'm left with Drake May at here pick 32, and I think he's still a couple years away from like being a guy that's competing with the top of the AFC. But if things break right, if they actually have a defense and the offensive line can protect for him, this is a guy that was showing the ability to create like a Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson in year one. And you never know. Like you get lucky, you're able to win games down the stretch. This is a guy that could sneak in as like the last Pro Bowl quarterback. You still have enough Patriot fans from the Bill Belichick, Tom Brady dynasty that are going to look for a reason to like this team. And I think he gives them a good one. Overall, I'm happy with my group. I think I'm happy with the depth positions at like tight end and my interior offensive.
Like these, yeah.
And I'm not exactly sold that they're going to get me points later in this, but that's what I think. I took the superstars at wide receiver that I think are going to get some of those. And then some of the high end guys. I think Trent Williams in one of his probably like final prime years, and then Joe Alt on the rise. Those are guys that maybe at least could get Pro Bowl nods and help me in that area.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're not building this is the best roster in the NFL, right? Otherwise, I think we would have gone in different directions with some picks, like Alec Ingold or David Njoku. It's those guys have better chances of being Pro Bowlers or getting, and Ingold's case, all Pro because they do still do fullbacks still get votes, I believe. So in that respect, I think we nailed those picks. And then it's about taking chances, right? Like Terry McLaurin, I wouldn't count him. Actually, among these receivers here, I would probably say he's the worst. But because the Commanders were a good team last year, Jaden Daniels has some name value. He's playing for a contract. I think that can all line up for a Pro Bowl berth or something like that. JSN, he's the guy undisputed on his team now. It's him and the remains of Cooper Kupp, that kind of thing. So I'm happy with my team as well. I'm happy that I was able to get Brady and Mahomes on the swing there. I wanted McVay and like Allen or McVay and Mahomes, but you took him from me, so I had to settle for Joe Brady there.
And again, it all came down to when I saw the final four teams, the Patriots still standing there. That was kind of the verdict for me on that side is that go get the play caller, a guy that I think has the ability, if he does a really bang up job this year, to potentially reel in a Coach of the Year award. I think he won one earlier on in his coaching tenure. It would be interesting to see him win it again, especially given the circumstances of an aging roster and like given the history of LA of just like they've been up and down and they continue staying up, I think is just a credit to him. So I think with that, it wraps up the exercise. Next week, after doing one of the last Mount Rushmore episodes, we'll do this for the defensive side and build and construct the perfect defense.
Yeah, I like it. As far as takes go, like keeping it within our teams here, I feel like the picks we made is kind of our take for the season among these. I guess I could say that my take is, uh, I don't even know. Like one of my players will win MVP. I guess will be my take, and it'll obviously Mahomes is the candidate there. So actually, because and I'm going to scroll up to the scoring if you're watching on YouTube. These are our major awards. We didn't include the coach award, but it's up there as well. I'm going to say I get at least one of these awards with my players on my team. So that's MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, the new Offensive Lineman of the Year award, which starts this season, if I'm not mistaken. Coordinator of the Year would be mine, and in your case would be Coach of the Year.
I don't think you're going to have a Defensive Player of the Year award.
Maybe not on this one. Maybe.
Maybe next week. I'm just saying, like, I don't know if you can roll in next week's episode of this one, but I do.
If I pick Travis
like
Hunter, I would have a chance.
Are you saying I have a chance? Yeah, no, that would be you with Travis Hunter. That would be interesting. I will say this, like Khalil Mack winning an All-Pro at 2 different positions, if he was able to do something like that where he's able to win
I didn't even think about that, yeah.
On both sides of the ball. Like if he was a first team All-Pro corner and then second team like wide receiver at one point in his career, that might be the greatest feat ever from an athlete. So my perfect take in regards to this team is I think it's don't count out the LSU wide receivers. I think Jamar Chase, Brian Thomas Jr. are locks to be Pro Bowlers again this year. I don't think that's a doubt. You just never know what wide receivers are just going to go off. And it could be based on schedule. It could be based on just chemistry with the quarterback and everything surrounding them. But I think those two guys have Pro Bowl nods and continue a rich tradition out of LSU as just being the wide receiver in the modern day NFL.
I think you skipped over 2 more LSU wide receivers.
I was saying on my team, but Justin Jefferson.
On my team, they'll be all pros. They'll be all pros on my team. But you got the Pro Bowlers.
Yep, there we go. I like it.
Yeah, but like you said, next week we'll do either corners or safeties, probably with the Mount Rushmore on Tuesday, and then we'll parlay that defensive Mount Rushmore into the defensive draft for next Thursday's episode. I really like this one. Hopefully, the one we do on Thursday can be even better because of the many different defensive alignments. Right, we're gonna have to draft like nickel players, nickel linebackers, different safeties, different front players like defensive ends, outside linebackers. We'll have to think about that a lot more, but
and
hopefully
the play caller, because like you want to play an aggressive style, like a Steve Spagnuolo or Jim Schwartz would be perfect. But if you grab a lot of guys in the secondary, maybe you want to go with Vic Fangio, Vance Joseph, somebody like that. Now, granted, we're going to grab Patrick Surtain, so Vance Joseph will be off the board. But just that kind of concept of, do you want to play coverage or you want to get after the quarterback?
Exactly. But there's going to be a lot more to think about for next week's because this one was, good player. Let me take him. But next week, defense, I think, is a lot more nuanced in the NFL. But until then, you can find us on Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll post our teams here just so people can kind of see who we took where, what team is going to be better. It's this team. But we'll have to see at the end of next season. But until then, keep pounding.